morning sun rose, casting golden rays that pierced through the dense canopies of the misty jungles in southern Mexico, dispersing the lingering fog. While the world was still waking up, the Olmecs had already been bustling for hours. Today marked the day of the Great Stone Ceremony, a grand celebration to beseech the gods for blessings for the coming year. Deep within the jungle lay La Venta, a city comprised of earthen mounds, vast plazas, and mysterious stone monuments. The Olmecs, an ancient civilization whose power and influence extended far beyond their borders, were masters of art, astronomy, and architecture. They were also the creators of colossal stone heads, carved with the faces of rulers whose legacies were deeply woven into the fabric of their society. Among the crowd preparing for the ceremony was Ixchel, a young apprentice sculptor. Her hands were stained with stone dust from weeks of labor, and her eyes sparkled with a mixture of excitement and nervousness. For months she had been working on a new carving, a Jade Jaguar intended to adorn the altar at the center of the plaza. Jaguars, powerful symbols of the sacred and the earthly, were revered by the Olmecs. Though small, this piece would play a pivotal role in the day's rituals. "You've done well," her mentor Ixchel said as he carefully examined her work. The older man's face was lined with years of toil, but warmth shone in his eyes. "But remember, the gods demand perfection." Ixchel nodded resolutely. She carried the Jade Jaguar to the altar, where preparations were in full swing. Priests in elaborate feathered headdresses chanted in rhythmic unison, their voices rising and falling like waves. The air was thick with the fragrance of copal incense, its curling smoke drifting toward the heavens. The ceremony began, and Lord Itzamna, the ruler of La Venta, emerged from his palace, his presence commanding awe. Draped in intricate gold and jade ornaments, he carried a staff carved with symbols of maize and rain, the lifeblood of the Olmecs. As he approached the altar where Ixchel's Jade Jaguar now rested gleaming in the sunlight, the crowd fell silent. Itzamna raised his arms and called out in a booming voice, "Chak, Lord of Rain! Kukulkan, the feathered serpent, hear our prayers and accept our offerings. Guide us with your wisdom and bless us with abundance." The priests poured sacred liquids onto the altar, honey, cacao, and even drops of their own blood, symbols of sacrifice and devotion. As the rhythm of drums and conch shells filled the jungle, cheers erupted from the crowd. However, as the ceremony reached its climax, a sudden shadow fell over the plaza. The cheers of the crowd faltered, replaced by murmurs of unease. Ixchel looked up to see dark clouds gathering unnaturally fast, the sky turning ominously gray. "A sign," one priest whispered, fear evident in his voice. "But is it a blessing or a curse?" Lord Itzamna's expression grew grave. "Priests, interpret the will of the gods." The priests huddled together, casting cacao beans and studying their patterns on the ground. Meanwhile, Ixchel felt a strange pull, an instinct she couldn't explain. Her gaze fell on the Jade Jaguar she had carved. Its eyes seemed to glow faintly, as though alive. Was it her imagination, or was the carving responding to the presence of the gods? Before she could think further, a bolt of lightning split the sky, striking a nearby tree and setting it ablaze. The crowd gasped and stepped back, but Ixchel found herself moving forward, drawn by an unseen force. She placed her hand on the Jade Jaguar, and a surge of energy coursed through her body. A torrent of visions flooded her mind, flashes of the past and future, the rise and eventual fall of the Olmecs, and the gods watching silently from the heavens. She saw La Venta thriving, but she also saw it swallowed by time, its monuments reclaimed by the jungle. Yet, amid the chaos, she saw hope, a promise that the Olmec's legacy would endure in ways beyond their imagination. When the vision subsided, Ixchel found herself kneeling, the Jade Jaguar glowing brilliantly. The clouds began to part, and sunlight returned. The crowd murmured in awe, and the priests declared the event a divine blessing. Lord Itzamna approached her, his eyes filled with curiosity and respect. "The gods have chosen you, Ixchel. Your hands do not merely carve stone, they shape the destiny of our people." From that day forward, Ixchel was no longer just an apprentice sculptor. She became a revered figure among the Olmecs, a bridge between the mortal and the divine. Although the jungle would one day reclaim La Venta, the spirit of the Olmecs lived on, in their art, their myths, and the mysteries they left behind.